So, like, this piece of paper in my background has been on the floor for like 2 or 3 videos, and every time I start recording, I go to myself, I should pick up that piece of paper. And then I keep recording. And by the time I'm done recording, I forget about the piece of paper again. So, if it's still in the video tomorrow, we all know what happened. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And today, Robbie has a sweet brew for us. We're going to be playing Chains of Mephistopheles, which is a very clearly written magic card that you don't need a flowchart to understand how it works. This is one of those times where perhaps reading the card doesn't explain the card, although the modern printing of it is clearer than it used to be. So, if a player would draw a card, except for the one in their draw step, you discard a card instead. If you discard the card, you draw a card. You can't discard the card, you mill a card instead. And we'll see this in action, and it'll become clear why we're doing this in just a second. And we are also going to have Anvil of Bogarden. You have no maximum hand size, but more importantly, at the beginning of each player's draw step, you draw an additional card and then discard a card. So our dream here is to just kind of pop off hard with Orcish Bowmasters and take advantage of all of these extra draws and loots. But unlike other versions of this deck, we now have a really good scaling threat that scales up when you discard cards. So this is kind of like our Mako Madness deck meets Rakdos Chains Prison. We have a couple of neat aggressive early game threats that are going to scale up well. And this deck is trying to play a full playset of Bowmat Courier. The last one is just ever so slightly off screen. Whenever it attacks, you exile the top card of your library face down, and you can discard your hand to sacrifice this creature to put all cards exiled with this creature into their owner's hands. So while this might not be overly attractive in terms of legacy power level, you could hypothetically discard your hand, end up pumping the shark massively, and like finish off your opponent. I think this card is too weak, and I'm going to end up sideboarding it out a decent amount of the time, but this is a really neat synergistic deck. I will say I think there's a decent chance that we are going to be weak to opposing Orcish Bowmasters, but hopefully that doesn't happen. They wouldn't kill our Dark Confidants, would they? I hope not. Now, Robbie didn't send me a sideboard, so I built the sideboard here. This is just generic legacy good stuff. Oops All Spells is a thing. Leyline of the Void is obligatory. And from there, I have some removal. We're pretty light on game 1 removal with just Lightning Bolt. And I have a couple of end game finishers for when we know that the games are going to go more slowly. I think a playset of Thoughtseize would also be super reasonable to slot somewhere in the 75. If I am going to play Bowmat Courier in the deck, though, and keep the main deck as it was originally submitted, I don't think I have room for the Thoughtseizes. But I think this deck is probably solid enough that we'll be able to get some wins with it. If you are capable of doing something aggressive quickly, and we most certainly are with our Shark plus Burning Inquiry, or Bowmasters into Burning Inquiry, I think we'll put some wins on the table today. And then we'll kind of critique the deck list over time. I didn't change any of the spells in the main deck, but I did adjust the land base. When I first got this, there was something like 7 basic mountains, 7 basic swamps. And while I respect the ever-loving fuck out of some basic lands, I think this deck needs a whole bunch of fetch lands to enable the Stalker. And so I added those in, and then 1 theater, because the Surveil lands have ended up being quite strong. Alright folks, if you end up needing some cards, please check out my sponsor, TOAmagic.com. Promo code ThrabenU will save you a little bit on your order, and you always get free shipping as well. I know that I need to get some sweet Final Fantasy cards from them. The spoilers are coming out, and I need myself a VV at the very least. Maybe you do too. Get it from TOA. Support me while you're doing that. With that being said, let's battle. Okay, my opponent is on 5 cards. My hand is of medium power level, honestly. I don't really know that I mulligan this. I guess we'll see how good this Bowmat Courier ends up being over time. Like, this is something that I am very curious about. I have played tons of Bomat career in formats like Cube. I don't have much experience with it in the lens of Legacy specifically. All right. Is it combo time now? Sylvan Scrying or Dark Depths? I mean, we know what's up. I have a respectable amount of damage that can end up going to my opponent's face, but I don't have Wastelands. I don't have Discard. My draw stuff is probably not going to be super relevant here. I don't think our cards line up well for this matchup. I have one Shouldered's Edict that answers a Merit Lage. Uh-huh. Fuck. I am just going to confirm I have no answers to that card. Alright, so I'm going to make them do the thing. And then I'm going to die when they sacrifice this to Dark Depths. Yep. Not great. Yeah, I'm fully just dead to this combo, unfortunately. I don't have flyers that can block either. Oh, no. No, not really. I guess. Absolutely. Maybe we go down a couple of chains to get Molten Collapse in there. Like, do I need this as a lifelinking body? To like, is getting above 20 the way that I win? I'm not a Dark Ritual deck or anything. The Bomat Couriers don't feel great here either. Is Chains worse? I don't know. I have what is hopefully a pretty aggressive hand. Hopefully just playing out a couple of Stalkers that can scale up quickly ends up being good. I am fully racing in this matchup. I don't care if my opponent like thought seizes me or duresses me or anything like that. I don't like that I'm trying to race the combo deck when I am the one that has to wait a turn until my creatures can attack. Yeah, this sort of thing I don't care about. Because like I just have multiple very reasonable things that I can play out on my turn. I lost a Dark Confidant. Burning Inquiry. Yeah, I guess Bowmasters into Burning Inquiry is now my plan. That's not what I was intending on doing with my turn. I thought I was just going to aggressively surveil a card in my graveyard and then play the other Stalker. But I don't think that's true anymore. This is stressful. That's a tutor for Dark Depths. Hopefully we will make my opponent randomly discard the Dark Depths. That would be cool. Oh boy. Hang you to 15 and make my Orc. I think I play the Stalker out and then cast Burning Inquiry. Here we go. Super high variance. 3 Bowmaster triggers at my opponent's face. We'll be at 12 when the stack clears. Faithless Looting in the yard to flashback next turn. Theater. I don't need that Shark next turn. I'm going to go to Punchies. I get a Punchies for 7, which is great. My opponent's at 5. 2 of these creatures are going to have evasion. I think I'm getting a turn 4 Goldfish here. Okay, cool. Both of us can bleed. But the game where I'm on the draw is a lot scarier. I don't think this does anything fast enough to win the game when I am on the draw. This has potential. I think I am willing to keep this one pitching Swamp. The hand loses a lot, and I mean a lot, if my opponent thought seizes me and takes the Shark, though. I think I need to keep this in hand as a potential surveil land, although I probably would want to keep it anyway to potentially red on turn 2. Here's hoping for the best. Fuck. So I now guess that the interesting decision is, do I Faithless Looting versus do I surveil land on my next turn? Goodbye, Mr. Shark. Well, okay. We don't need to think about that decision. We can hunt that off for a turn. And I do want to fetch there to put a card into my graveyard for the Stalker, even though the fetch land was capable of producing black on its own. This does mean that my mountain is just Badlands, though, which is cool. Lotus Petal. Sylvan Scrying. Dark Depths is out there. And opponent just drops a fetch land and passes. Well, we're getting in there for 2. Then after that, it's slightly more interesting. I think I'm going for good variance off of Burning Inquiry. I'm going to play my land out first, though, so I guarantee to have land drop number 2. We did get rid of the Dark Depths. I don't have another threat to play in this turn cycle. I can send a Lightning Bolt at my opponent's face, and I did discard some stuff. Stalker gets bigger if a permanent card enters the graveyard. It doesn't have to be from play. Bayou. There's a new tutor for the Dark Depths. I don't think I'm clocking quickly enough here. I probably lose Bowmaster. I'm going to just send the Lightning Bolt upstairs. So that's 12, and I do lose Bowmasters. What a fucking draw. I have one of those. That is incredibly lucky, and my opponent has already used 2 discard spells, so they're probably not going to check again to see if the coast is clear. There's the stage. We'll go to Punchies. Punchies for 3. Opponent is at 6. Pass the turn. Opponent makes their friend. 1 mana available. Eldred's Edict. Please sacrifice a creature token. Come on, yeah. Now my opponent is on a 2-turn block to the Stalker here. This bodes very well for me. All right, they're just passing. Fantastic. I'm going to send in for 3. Put my opponent 2-3. If my opponent were to randomly have something like a Bowmasters, that would be disastrous if I flashback looting. So I think I'm just going to play and have the ability to do a Surveil land while holding up this ability. And next turn, if my opponent throws 2 blockers out there, I just Molten Collapse 1 and swing in for lethal. Stage? Yeah. This does have Menace. All right, yeah, there is the GGs in chat. I'll Surveil anyway. I don't need the shark. Send in for 3. And the block does not work, and we put our first win on the board. GG's. I think that is a very scary matchup for us. I think if we play this matchup out more, I lose the vast majority of them. We drew the singleton Sheoldred's Edict that I put into the sideboard in consideration of circumstances just like this, and we were very lucky to draw it when I needed it. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Alrighty. Opening hand is fine here. I have a handful of options for how to play this out. I think I am going to start in the way that does not result in me being wastelanded immediately. This is not necessarily my most efficient line in terms of working as quickly as possible to go towards a win. No, that's exactly what I don't want to see. So a daze or equivalent is disastrous here. I am going to cast this before my opponent has a chance to do any manipulation, though. I don't want them to be able to untap and then respond with a brainstorm or anything like that. Oh, my opponent now gets to sculpt a game plan, knowing the sort of bullshit that I am up to. Opponent goes for the chains, which is not overly surprising. Ooh, it is Esper. It's probably Prismatic Ending on Bowmaster then. You've got it. Are we trading orcs? I think because Kaito exists, I trade orcs. I don't have red available. I would love to Mako into Burning Inquiry here. Instead, I'm going to do this and just hope that my opponent does not have another Bowmaster. Manipulation is fine. Underground Sea. Damn it. Bowmaster proving to be exactly as good as I thought it was going to be. I think I Lightning Bolt that next turn. I think I play out my shark here to try to get things going. Sort of unfortunately, since I have this basic swamp, not being able to red in a turn cycle is super noticeable. Alright, it's just a swords. Hopefully no Kaito. Alright, dodged the bullet on that one. Oh, it's going to be a Murktide Regent, which is going to be outside of range of Lightning Bolt. Fuck. I'm going to die to that. Yeah. That basically kills me in 2 turns. I can Lightning Bolt the Bowmaster, take 8, play a Manipulation spell the next turn. Even with another Bowmaster, that's still not enough damage to kill a Murktide Regent. I don't have any other non-red removal in game 1. That'll do. Or my opponent's threats, and we probably play these. Let's trim some number of cards that are bad against Bowmasters. This is like a blessing and a curse. I'm going to get rid of these in this matchup and do something like that. We have 3 more answers to a Bowmaster, 6 more answers to a Murktide Regent. It's less likely that we'll die. I don't think so. I don't think this has enough safety. This is fine. This is noticeably better on the play than it would be on the draw. Let's get our Shark into play, and next turn I can Faithless Looting to attempt to grow it, get it outside of range of Bowmasters. Have Bowmasters and Lightning Bolt still to deal with an opposing Bowmasters. Just ending it, swordsing it. That's fine. Well, I mean, it's not like I'm not going to cast Chains, you know? Bam. Chain stuck. Prismatic Ending exists, though, so let's not get too excited here. Oh, come on. Why'd you have to have it? I am just going to put this into play. My stuff has been resolving. That makes me think that my opponent does not have counterspells. I think if I pass the turn with this mana available, my opponent just doesn't do anything, and then they potentially end up Bowmastering me anyway. Whereas this way, I potentially stop them from casting something like a Brainstorm in response to my Bowmasters. Cool. That's a great card. Let's hope nothing bad happens. Oh shit, nothing bad happened. I guess I will loot then. And I'm honestly looking for land drop 3. Hate that. Lightning Bolt your Bowmasters in response. They'll lose my Bowmasters, but I can loot towards a land now. Yeah, cool. So now I have this Goyf to be my big scary thing that I do. This does come at the cost of getting rid of Pyroblast, so if my opponent just immediately slams a Murktide Regent, that's slightly awkward. I will take 1 here. This is fine. Fucking Kaito. Yeah. I do not like the design of Kaito. It is obviously a powerful Magic the Gathering card, but it's really hard to interact with, which is obviously the design, right? Like, that is intentional. That's not an accident. I think no to that at this stage of the game. Bowmasters. That card's great. I think that is my plan. Kaito is really annoying. I think I'm just going to try to deal as much damage as possible to it. I think if I just play this out, the Kaito ends up stunning it, and I don't actually end up in a good place. Alright, ninjas are big. Kaito just hits for 5. I will take that. I'm at 10. Another land drop. In theory, I am killing this Kaito this turn. In practice, I don't know if that's actually happening. My opponent has 3 cards in hand. That's rough. Swords. Swords my Bowmasters. Then they can trade with the Orc army. Yep. Not great. I'm going to hold this land to discard later and play a 5/6 Goyf. Unfortunately, the Goyf is not very exciting in the face of stun counters. Bowmasters is very good against my deck, as was predicted in the deck tech. And a second fetch. It's Mystic Sanctuary. That's rough. But now my opponent doesn't even need to stun my Goyf. They can just keep plussing or surveilling and drawing a card. Seems like my opponent's got this one. I'll keep playing, but it is difficult to imagine me winning from here. Kaito just solos me next turn. I imagine my opponent is now going to surveil, take the extra card. Kaito is a 5/6 next turn. They just plus, and I am dead on board. And because this is hexproof, I can't really draw most removal spells. Fuck, there's a Murktide Regent too. But now the out of Pyroblasting this away is not good enough anymore. I will play towards Pyroblast, though. Pyroblast keeps me alive at 2 life. Well, fuck me. Alright. Dead. Okay, I mean, technically I can play out a Stalker chump block and live. No, they just will stun counter it and kill me. GG. So, this hand has the biggest please don't wasteland me energy that I have ever seen. If everything goes well, I am attacking for approximately a billion D next turn. However, there's a lot of fail points of this hand. I think it is a keep. There's a lot of fail points of the hand. It's not like I came here to not try this. Cast your removal spell. It is Force of Will instead. I really wanted that to resolve so I could make my second land drop because I have three different 1-drops here. So this is rather unfortunate. Our opponent might be playing a control deck. They could be playing some sort of Cephalid Breakfast deck. The Teferi in exile off the Force of Will only gives us some idea of what my opponent is doing. And if memory serves, I played against this opponent a day or two ago, and they were on some super bizarro Yorian Enchantress brew. So I don't want to, like, say, oh, they're obviously playing this, given that the last time I played against this person, they were super in Brewtown. Raisin Borrower. I did not expect Bowmat Courier to ever get Force of Willed today. Sure. So are we going to be doing, like, stock up mid-game stuff? Trying to figure out why my opponent is playing what they're playing. In a card or two, I will probably be able to have a strong hypothesis. I'm not confident in making a call yet. Another sort of ambiguous fetch land. Hierarch. Okay. Natural Order? Natural Order Atraxa? Chip in for 2. My hand is just not delivering. I expected to have gotten much deeper into my deck at this stage of the game. Without that Burning Inquiry, my hand is not doing too much. We're just chilling. That's great. I think I'm just sending in still. I'm just going to attack into things like Endurance. It's not like things are getting much better for me. That's green mana. Oh, okay. Yep. I have technically Interaction. Fuck off. Fucking hate this now do shit. My opponent is gonna do their draw 6 bullshit in response. Yeah. So the Nomads in core can actually kind of move this trigger around as well. My opponent's gonna click on stuff a bunch of times. I'll update you when this gets interesting. Okay, my opponent has activated a bunch. They've got a full hand again. As long as they clicked their stuff correctly, my Bowmaster trigger should not actually be killing Nomads in core. They just took the damage. I think I had made a land drop already, so I'm not going to be playing other things. I don't really think that makes sense. It doesn't matter. Like, honestly, I should just concede the game here. My opponent is going to draw at least 6 more cards, cast another Collected Company, which probably means that it's 10 cards. Hullbreacher and Oculus. Okay. Hullbreacher's some shit for my deck. I'm not gonna sit through Nadu combo. So we're probably doing some amount of stuff that looks like this. A bunch of my cards are gonna just backfire spectacularly in this matchup, I think. I don't like the way this is likely to go. Okay. This is medium. I think my opponent's very favored here. I don't think on average I goldfish them quickly enough to get a kill before Collected Company can come down, and Collected Company has a chance at assembling a combo. But my opponent is mulliganing into Oblivion. So you're telling me there's a chance. Blooded Strand. No immediate follow-up play. Shark. 19. Fetch. And Chains. Are we going to get a Brainstorm in response? I don't know how many cantrips my opponent is going to be playing. Their deck construction is obviously going to be a brew. I should not assume too many things. There's definitely going to be some cantrips because we saw Oculus, right? So that's an indicator that my opponent thinks that they can funnel cards through their graveyard pretty easily. Yep. So I am just going to kill that thing. And I'm bashing in for a disappointing 1 damage. This is not an efficient use of my mana, but I don't think I get to just ignore a combo piece that is in play and also not hold up Pyroblast here. 3rd land drop. Oh, cool. No follow-up play. I may have stranded some number of cards in hand. We'll surveil land. I don't need Badlands. I mean... I'm in. Leogoyf. With Pyroblast backup. Fetch. Badlands. Attempt. God damn it. Yeah. So I get to choose the replacement effect here. So I choose Chains, discard. Now I can not give my opponent the treasure, select Chains, mill a card, and not give them more treasures. I'll send the shark in here. Alright, opponent just takes the hit. Surveil land is fine. Opponent is running on fumes. Dark Confidant is great. If my opponent wants to block... Oh, they're just not going to let me draw extra cards. Sure. I mean, greatness at any cost, right? Excellent. It's so correct to not cast this. It's so correct to not cast this. However, it is more fun to cast it. And we have to think of the fun equity sometimes. Chains definitely did some work that game. Can I justify another Chains? I maybe could. I maybe could. Alright, we've got a shark. We've got a way to make the shark big. We've got a piece of removal. There's a lot to like here. That is pretty respectable as well. Oh, I think I misplayed, though. I think I was supposed to fetch a Badlands there, because I might end up playing Burning Inquiry next turn, and I could theoretically end up discarding a dual land. I think I just did that too quickly. Nomads is scary. I can just fucking die. I'm going to try to remove this. Just send in for 1 this turn. But it's really shitty because then Hull Breacher can come down potentially to disrupt my Burning Inquiry. I've got Pyroblast to help with that, but it probably means that I need to commit another land to the battlefield, and then we come back to my turn 1 mistake of fetching the wrong land. And like maybe if I just have Badlands in play, it is easier to go through the next turn. The fairy, annoying. Probably just happening. Now I don't have triple red this turn, which is unquestionably relevant. I'm gonna blow up to fairy. Now I only get 1 shark in play instead of 2 sharks in play this turn. Unquestionable turn 1 mistake. Let's see if I die this turn. There's the Nadu. Cool. So now my opponent gets to draw a minimum of 4 cards before I can Pyroblast this. Probably 8. Now they got Force of Will backing this up. I'm out. I don't sit through Nadu combo on this channel anymore. GG. My mistake was costly here. I think I still probably lose this game, even if I make the right land drop. But I have a better chance, and like there's some timelines where I play 1 shark and leave Pyroblast up, so that exact thing doesn't happen. Oh, this is a tough one to evaluate. Opponent says hello to YouTube. I really need the second land with this deck. The hand will probably pop off if I hit the second land drop naturally. If I don't hit the second land drop on draw 1, I maybe need to Faithless Looting on turn 1, which is like a super bad tempo hit. I'm going to just mulligan it. Ooh, this hand is so much stronger. I'm going to keep this one and get rid of the shark. I don't have any synergies with it. Also, holy moly, I've had a bit of a like runny nose from allergies and stuff recently. So I just tried out this nose gel thing that has like some eucalyptus type vibes to it, like Vicks Vapor Rub might have. I feel like I just have stuck my nose into a bottle of Vicks Vapor Rub in the best possible way. We're gonna vault the shit out of this creature. Now, the follow-up question is, how do I do it? Because if I just play Lightning Bolt to bolt it, then I don't play double Stalker next turn. Might be correct to be wastelandable here, which is a little weird when I could so easily play around it. But I don't think I want to just play Mountain here. And I think it's very important to get rid of DRC as quickly as possible. It accumulates advantage. Well, yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Oh boy. My previous spell resolved. My current spells are likely to resolve too. I think it's Boy. We're in play. Now, my opponent very easily could just like Lightning Bolt Bowmasters and move on with their life. I'm hoping that's not the case. Ooh. This is probably good recognition on my opponent's part of just a spot where if they are going to win the game, they just simply need to cast their spells to let Corey Steelcutter do their thing. Another land drop. What did that Ponder do? That Ponder did not shuffle. All right, so there is a Lightning Bolt for the Bowmasters. You've got it. I think I'm trading with this token. Trading real resources with Corey Steelcutter stuff doesn't really feel good. Oh shit. So I had all these plans about double growing stalkers this game. Those plans are gone. Dead. Abandoned. Forsaken. Synonymed. We just drop change. Chains. It's in play. That's going to do a lot to stop Corey Steelcutter. Am I supposed to play Meltdown versus Delver? I have how many Molten Collapses? 2? Molten Collapse is not hitting that, actually. Surveil Land? Is there another spell here? Because if not, it was probably just correct to equip. Okay, there is another spell. Is Lightning Bolt to face correct? Like I'm clearly a creature deck? Unsure. I am at 13 when this is all said and done. Theater. I don't want that land. I think I am playing this as a 2/2. Since I surveilled a land to graveyard. I'll just take my counter. Sort of unfortunately trade with this monk, probably. Oh, it was another bolt. That's why they were willing to use the first aggressively. That's not great for me. Oh gosh. And another spell. So Corey Steelcutter makes a new monk. Chains helps with the cantrips though. So my opponent doesn't get their card back. But I am just taking 8 here, which probably means that I am dead. That extra lightning bolt there at the end. Not great. I suppose I'm not technically dead yet. But things are looking grim. I think my opponent can probably just move Corey Steelcutter and leave me in an awful position. I think I am trading with both of these and then hoping to find something that answers DRC as my draw for turn. Fuck. Well, they're not answering 2 of those. That's rough. Hold on, did my opponent have lethal if they just do this at the beginning of their turn? Maybe. Opponent says sequencing. Yeah, fair. All right, so because my opponent has Corey Steelcutter, I think I want these as a way to just soak up monk token damage in the end game, and then I'll play some amount of this stuff. I think the Anvils go. I think the Bowmat Couriers go. I think I keep Chains. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Don't play Meltdown. Or don't play Pyroblast. Pyroblast helps hedge against larger threats like Murktide Regent, but will miss some amount of threats. Whereas Meltdown is for the 4x Corey Steelcutter specifically, but it is a 3-mana spell to answer it. I might just need the overcosted Abrade here. I will say that I do. Yeah, this is fine. I think I am going to keep the fetch lands as surveil lands for the mid game. And if I draw a Stalactite Stalker, they can be used to trigger its +1/+1 counters. Alright, ETB tapped Surveil Land. That is fine for me. Okay, I did not really want the second Meltdown here. I fully don't expect this Bob to work. I don't know if it's going to get countered or just killed by a removal spell, but I do not expect this to make it around the table. Opponent has some key decision here. They're in the tank about what to do about this. It is a daze. That's a little bit of a costly daze because it means that if they want to replay that Surveil land, they are not using their mana offensively for another turn. So I fully understand the hesitation there. Junking a Preordain. These draws, not optimal. Bob's in play. It's going to be new art for this card from the Final Fantasy set, by the way. Fetch. Tamiyo. Bauble. More other bauble. We can get those with Meltdown. My opponent could probably just double bauble on my turn to set up a Tamiyo flip in the not too distant future. Seems good. No. Oh, it's a brainstorm. I thought I was going to lose Bob. So potential misplay for my opponent. If they just do this on their turn, they do this in a way where if they do this on their main phase, they get to plus Tamiyo. They did it in my end step, so Tamiyo has 2 loyalty, and Tamiyo's ability isn't live. So I just get to attack and kill this Tamiyo. Unless my opponent's got something crazy. I think that was a mistake. I wonder if they got caught up in their head of like, I'll pass the turn with this available, and if my opponent has a removal spell, I'll use it in response to that removal spell. And then they saw an opening where I tapped out, and maybe they just jumped at it. There is the concession, which is reasonable. Reset, rally back for the next game. Does Tamiyo change my evaluation of Pyroblast specifically? I need Pyroblast. Maybe I get 5% less cute to play some of these. I think I want to keep Burning Inquiry for lining up Shark plus Burning Inquiry, or Burning Inquiry plus Chains nonsense. I think I'm going to go down some Faithless Lootings. So this is a hand of great Magic the Gathering cards for this matchup. However, it has 1 land, and this probably needs to be a bad lands. I think my deck is redundant enough that I mulligan this. This is fine. Basic, basic, basic. Have safety. Probably don't need land drop 4. I think this is fine. Playing this out in this way, though, probably means that this doesn't become a Surveil land, whereas if I keep the bad lands, I can potentially have a Surveil land. Hopefully that's all fine. Delta changes things. I think I'm just going to start the game on basics, though. The more interesting question is, which one of these do I do next turn? Not sure. Chains is probably the higher upside one if my opponent does not have a counterspell specifically. Dark Confidant opens up counterspell or removal spell for my opponent's turn to become good. I think I give them the chains. So they take their redraw. Oh shit, well. Alright, we're gonna do that. When? Opponent's turn. Or if they fetch here. I think I'm not going to let them draw an extra card. I think I'm going to fire this off now. I don't want to give them another look at a daze. Alright, they just had the daze. Then that means that they get a little bit of manipulation for their stuff. Bulk? I am hoping more creatures aren't added to play here. I hope my opponent just spins their wheels, and then I stick chains and find a removal spell for DRC. I'll take 3 in combat, but it's turn 3. I'm still at 17. Like, this is going fine. Into chains? I think we're into chains. And then maybe we do double bob next turn. Double bob is a little spooky, though, with an active evasive threat in play. It has a whole bunch of cards that they're not using. That probably does not bode well for me. That probably means there's creature-based removal. Surveil land. Goes back down. We knew about that. Opponent says no to Wasteland. Don't Murktide me? Okay. I think this is now a Surveil land. We have what I would probably call an emergency. Looting we say no to. Shark. Okay. Okay. There's a Bob. There's a Shark. Here's a Burning Inquiry. So we discard Dark Confidant. We draw a card. We discard Orcish Bowmasters. We draw a card. We discard... Triggers. Always yield. My opponent ends up going down some cards here. I end up making a very large Shark. This has re-enabled DRC, which I don't like. I'm going to take 8 damage. Oh no, I'm going to take more than 8 damage. Might be 9. Oh no. Unholy Heat has Delirium because I enabled it. What a disaster. Alright. The only way I win is raw dumb luck. I'm going to go to 2 with a Dark Confidant in play, not block here. Greatness at any cost. Any cost. Let's go. Fuck. Well, we tried. We did some really neat things there, but we were just shy of being able to potentially start pulling ahead. I'm not going to say win. My opponent is still at 19. They've got a couple of threats in play, but we were turning the corner. GG's, though. Okay. I can't play this on a basic swamp. The second hand has a surveil land, so I'm not doing anything immediately. I have turn 2 Stalker or Bob. I think this is a high risk, high reward hand. If I spike an untapped land, I think this ends up being pretty good. I guess all my other lands are untapped. Bowmat Courier goes to graveyard. The fail point of this current hand is just my opponent having turn 1 Wasteland. Once upon a time, could find Wasteland. It is a Misty Rainforest instead. We're doing some elves type nonsense. Bayou. Thoughtseize. Could be Dark Depths. Burning Inquiry. Let's do this, actually. No more land. Okay. Well, the upside of hitting that land drop was pretty high. Hit a green sun from my opponent's hand. We just, like, green-black mid-range? Junding? Was I right previously and we're more in that, like, cradle control depths sort of ballpark? Lose a bolt this time. Get bogged. Okay. Well, now that I have a shark, I will just play out this. I might just eat a Bowmaster, and it's disastrous because it kills my shark and then eats me alive afterwards. White. Yep. That's gonna be a big creature. That's gonna be a big creature. I think I need more resources. So as much as I want to do the thing that my deck is built to do, I think I just need to get Dark Confidant into play. I don't know that I'm going to be very likely to win this here. That's fine, that's happening. I think my opponent will out mid-range me some percentage of the time. Lightning Bolt is fine. I can't kill this with it, but I can kill Keen-Eyed Curator. Or, yeah, I should be able to kill Keen-Eyed Curator. So let's do that, see how my opponent responds. This is happening. Dryad Arbor. Sure. So now I'm going to go ahead and fetch, grab a Badlands. I don't know that I really care about the Stalker. It's, I guess, technically a removal spell. Other cards on average might just be better. End up with a Bob instead. Sure. So I'll crack back for 6. This has Vigilance, though. And I did just make it bigger. Oh, Once Upon a Time, too. Or Collector Oof. Got it. Land drop. There's the Oof. There's a Reclaimer. We'll take a lot of damage. I'm at 9. I'm not the best at cracking back through this. This is problematic. My red removal spells are not going to kill some creatures in this matchup. Chains is not good here. I think I'm dead. I think it takes a turn or two for my life total to be reduced to 0, but I don't think I am beating this here. Dryad Arbor, sure. Turn Dryad Arbor into something else. Do a Lair of the Hydra. That might kill me immediately. This doesn't trample, does it? Doesn't. So much mana for Cradle, though. I am going to concede. Like, with built-in protection from this that's tutorable, even if I multi-block. And my opponent probably blows me out if I multi-block. Even if they don't, they still just have 3 creatures in play plus Lair. Alright. Thing for large creatures. Things for large creatures. I wonder if I need to play Leyline. I don't want to play Leyline, but I do kind of have a bunch of things that are not great in the matchup. Alright, let's do this. This is fine. I am not, like, hyper excited about Leyline. That's something I'm playing because I think I need it. I'm going to send that to graveyard specifically to grow this. If I'm shutting off my opponent's graveyard, the Goyfs are going to grow more slowly than normal. Ooh, that's real good. I've lost my Edict. I mean, I'll cast it. It's not doing anything unless I draw something like a Burning Inquiry and then it pops off. Safekeeper's fine. Verdant, and pass. So, will be another card type to graveyard. I'll drop my threat. And then my opponent will get their Dryad Arbor, I assume. Yep. There's a Cradle. Really missing out on the Wasteland type cards here. It's 4. No. Atraxa is a little bit better than my Goyf here. Oh, fuck. I'm not beating Atraxa backed by Sylvan Safekeeper, am I? Oh, and they just get to Natural Order again next turn. Or no, they chose Green Sun. Sure. Let's attack. Opponent's just going to take it. I will mill some cards. I will get a Stalker. I will play a Stalker. My Faithless Looting is perhaps not ideal right now. I'm going to get my +1/+1 counter. And I think was not supposed to play the fetch land. I play a regular land. I'm going to attempt to kill Sylvan Safekeeper to set up for the timeline where I remove Atraxa. But I think this is just 1 mana Sinkhole, which is still fine. This is just overall not good. This Cradle is doing so much work. And Keen-Eyed Curator can start eating away at my Goyf. Oh, geez. Oh, Keen-Eyed Curator is just going to become Swole. That's respectable. You know, I think with 2 7s... Oh, there's just more. Just a Dryad Arbor as additional security. I think with both of those things protected by Sylvan Safekeeper, I can go ahead and tap out. So we only put up 1 win in this league in round 1. But this was a pretty respectable deck, honestly. All right, so overall thoughts on Robbie's Deadguy Chains deck. Great first draft, honestly. So if I was going to play this again, I think the first thing that I would do is cut Bowmat Courier. This was a card that I frequently trimmed or cut. It doesn't have evasion, and I don't think we have enough game 1 removal to keep forcing this through. So I understand the synergies of why it's in the deck. I just don't know that it is strong enough. Anvil was, I think, the card that I cut the most in this league. It is a fine card, but I think that's all that it is. And every time when I was thinking about what is least essential to my plan, my answer was either Anvil or Bowmat Courier. Thinking about how these games played out, it's possible the deck needs another mana source or 2. I don't know if you want temporary mana like Dark Ritual, or if you just want another land or 2, but I think a little bit more mana in the deck is okay. The deck is pretty evenly split between colors, so I don't know that like you want like a Rite of Flame either to just be able to go Shark plus Faithless Looting or Burning Inquiry immediately. Maybe you want Lotus Petal. Like you can play 4 Lotus Petal, 2 other threats of some kind. Maybe promote some of these to the main deck for the times where the primary plan doesn't work. There are some other high variance things you could do, like you could play Hollow One type cards. I don't know if it is correct to do so. If you want more Dark Confidant type stuff, there's, Caustic Bronco, which has some upsides and some downsides versus Dark Confidant. The biggest upside is probably that it lives through Bowmasters, which is just something that's very, very good against this deck. I could also see playing Thoughtseizes in the main. That was something that I thought about in the intro. Would increase your game versus combo, which we did have trouble with today. But given the draft stage that this is in, I'm going to give this one a thumbs up despite our negative record. I like what is cooking here. I will say, despite the deck's low curve, I don't think it functions super well on 1 land. There are some other things you could do at 1 mana, like you could play Dragon's Rage Channeler and some Baubles in here as a way to just filter through cards faster. I don't know if that makes sense. At this point, if I keep talking, I think I'm just going to be rambling, so I think I'm going to call it a day here, folks. I hope this was enjoyable. If you need some cards, you know where to go. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!